His swords move, to which he wonders what's going on with his Imperium because it's felt different and he can hardly control the energy. Then he looks at the man and realizes that because of him Sash is going to get in trouble, but Sasha just looked back at him and tells him not to worry and just follow her lead. Then Sasha tells the man, who's their commander named Neil, that she's happy he's there and Atlas has actually turned himself in, but Neil asks Sasha if she expects him to believe that after Atlas killed tens of agents. Sasha responded she said it's odd, but she asked what was there to complain about, because as far as she can see that makes their jobs a lot easier. Then she asks Neil to let her take Atlas back to headquarters and he can make Atlas's case to the judge, which made Neil angry. The chief tells Neil not to listen to Sasha because Atlas would never give himself up and he can't be trusted, but Neil tells the chief that a failure like him has no room to speak there. Then Neil tells Sasha that it's indeed a good turn of luck for them defender. However, Atlas will be coming with him because Atlas will be dealt with privately by the president himself, to which Sasha worried and asked him what he means, because every criminal is supposed to be given a public trial, but Neil just tell her that the president's decisions are final. When Sasha tried to say something, Neil dismissed her. Atlas wonders if it's how it's going to end and if all the fighting and all the killing are what for, but he closes his eyes thinking that maybe it's better that way because he's tired. Then he apologizes to Rachel and thinks that at least they got to live their dream for a little while. Then he slowly stands up while asking Neil why he's taking him back to the president, when they both know he's not corrupted and if isn't he just going to kill him anyways. But Neil responded that he's not going to kill him because they have much bigger plans for him. Suddenly his shadow sword releases a powerful aura, to which Atlas wonders why it's happening again. Then the aura comes out of his body, to which Neil gets angry and launched a punch at him while angrily asking him if he thinks he can escape from him. Sasha walked toward him wordly, but the shadow demon's core possessed his whole body and released a powerful power that slowly occupied the place and explode. Atlas, who's floating in the air, wonder what did he just do and why he feels so in control. Then he looks at his feet and realizes that he's floating. On the other hand, Neil angrily asks Atlas where did he go and said he'll find him, to which Atlas wonders if Neil can really not see him, but he decided to fly away thinking that he'll figure out that ability later because he had to move. Then he flies towards Sasha, who's confused knowing that he doesn't know how that ability will last. Then he lands in front of Sasha while telling Sasha that she's right, that he was acting like a child, and he apologizes, but he knows what it's like to lose someone he cares about and he refuses to let that happen again. Then he hugs Sasha while thanking her for everything she have done for him. Then he said goodbye. Sasha tells Atlas to wait, but before she can finish her words Atlas was gone. Neil angrily asks Sasha what Atlas just did do and orders her to tell him where Atlas is gone, but Sasha asks back how would she know where Atlas was and said surely wise commander such as himself would have more information than her. Neil angrily tells her that her axe can't fool him because he knows she's trying to help Atlas, and they should see if she's still so stubborn after meeting with the president because he's sure that president wants to speak with her. Then you'll walk away leaving Sasha hoping that Atlas was okay. Meanwhile, Atlas grabs something and runs toward the forest while thinking about Jason and Sasha. Atlas promises that he won't let the DDA do whatever they want, and he also promises to figure that out, but currently he doesn't even know what's going on with his own Imperium. Atlas wonder what was that new ability and when did his body learn to fly. The whole thing feels like a blur and it was like all the information was just filling in his mind. Then you look at the sky, wondering who's his kidding, and thinks that maybe he should have told them the truth because there was so much going on, so he wondered how he's supposed to put it all together. Then he slaps his face hard, convincing himself that he can do it. Then he walks toward the house while thinking at least Jason and Sasha are safe, and for now he just needs to get to the man's house because he's sure he'll help him when he's near the house. He can't believe that it's really been 15 years. Then he opens the door and goes inside. While asking if anyone is home, he saw the bed messy and knows that someone's still living there, so he's sure they'll be home soon. Then he goes to the bed while planning to just lie down for a minute, and when he lay down, he just passed out immediately. A few moments later, the man who's holding a big axe and a dead animal walks toward the house. When the man entered the house, he saw Atlas sleeping in his bed. Then he pointed his axe at Atlas's neck while asking who is he, to which Atlas woke up in shock. Then Atlas called the man's uncle Boone and said his name in fear. Boone smiled and asked if he's really Atlas. Then he dropped the dead animal on the ground to hug Atlas happily and said, Atlas have really become a man that he hardly recognized him. Then he put down Atlas while saying as much as he loves seeing him again, he know he wouldn't have come there unless there was an emergency, and asked him what was going on. Atlas responded that first he has to tell him that a few years ago he became a DDA defender, and he knows he said, but before he can finish his words, Bun angrily tells him that he told him to stay away from the agency, but instead he became a defender. Bund also said he knew Jason was a lost cause, but he was always the trustworthy one. Atlas apology abundant and said a lot has happened since he left, and he thought he was doing the right thing, but he was wrong, and that's why he's there. Then he said he want to know why Button deserted from the DDA 15 years ago. Button tells him that he doesn't need to know about that because it's more trouble than it's worth. Atlas tells Button is the only one he can turn to in the DDA has set him up, so everyone thinks he has been corrupted, which made Button angrily ask him what deviated to him. Then he tightly hold his axe while saying those DDA bastards taking his best friend wasn't enough for them. Then he tells Atlas that he'll protect him, so he should tell him what happened before they framed him. Atlas responded that it's kind of a long story. Then he said it's happened so quickly that he's not even sure what to make of it, and it all started 2 days ago. He was told to handle an apparent demon attack on the outskirts of the city, but by the time he arrived it was already too late because the wolf demon had caused complete devastation in the area. He cut the demon's feet, cut its legs, and slash it to death. He managed to kill the beast by himself, and he thought that no one had survived the attack, but a girl appeared in front of. She wasn't afraid, and she just wanted to know what happened to her parents, but he couldn't tell her that they had probably died, so they just sat there together. He waited with her until reinforcements arrived, and he thought it would be best if he gave her to the commander Neil. He thought Neil would find her a home, but he should have known something wasn't right. Then he goes to Rachel's tomb and tells Rachel that he met a little girl who reminded him of her because she was so brave and matured for her age, and she wasn't even afraid of him when he was covered in demon blood. Then he tells Rachel that he doesn't know what's happened to him because he just wants to help people, but death follows him everywhere he goes, and lately he feels more like a reaper than a hero. He was visiting Rachel's grave when he felt the presence of a demon, but there was something different about the aberrant because it didn't feel dangerous, and then he saw a pink towel which made him shocked and realized that it was the little girl. He knew that it wasn't the little girl's fault, but he knew what he had to do. Then he apologized to the little girl, pulled his sword, and cut it in half. Neil walks toward him while saying thank God that he's there. Then he said he killed 2 parents in 2 days, so no wonder they call him the most deadly defender. Atlas asks Neil what happened to the girl from the wolf demon attack, and if did he find her a home. Neil responded that they did find her home, and tells Atlas not to worry about it because everything's been taken care of. Then he pulled the pink towel out to show it Boone while saying he knew the DDA was hiding something, but before he could figure anything out, he was attacked in his sleep by 2 defenders. After he escaped, the higher-ups told the entire agency that he was corrupted, so we have been on the run all night, and he was lucky enough to make it there. They were silent for a moment, then Boone happily said he knew it, and everyone thought he was crazy for not trusting the DDA, but he knew it. Then he laughs, while Atlas in the side wondering how he can laugh at a situation like that. Then Boone cleared his throat and said Atlas was right. Then he asked Atlas if he was trying to say that he thinks the DDA is involved with turning humans into demons, and why would they do that? Atlas sits on the bed while saying he doesn't know, but he's certain the demon at Rachel's grave was the same girl he saved during the wolf attack, so he wonders if that means all demons come from humans. Then he tells Boone that he was hoping he might be able to help him. Boone responded that all he can tell him is that the DDA has been using the idea of corrupted defenders to control the agency for decades, and he tried to find an answer, but everywhere he looked led to a dead end, and that's the reason why he disappeared after they killed Jason's father. Then he apologizes to Atlas for not having more information for him, but he said Atlas might be able to start from where he left off. Then Boone said if anyone is corrupt in the DDA, it's definitely Neil, and he knows that Neil spends most of his time at a laboratory created to research Imperiums. He also said he was never able to find a way in, but if Atlas wants an answer to the whole conspiracy, he should go into the laboratory, because whatever the DDA is hiding, he'll find the trail there, to which Atlas is interested. Then Atlas stand up excitedly while saying that they should do it because they'll figure it out together, but Boone tells him to slow down and said he loves him, but he hasn't fought in years. He's an old man, and he can't take on the entire DDA. Then he put his hand on Atlas's shoulder while saying his hip piece now, and his days of fighting demons are over. Suddenly someone said she'll come with him, to which Boone and Atlas were confused, then looked back and saw Sasha the window asking Atlas if he thought she just let him run off into the night like some troubled hero. Sasha said it was her fight too. Meanwhile, in court, the president said he addressed them today with summer news. Last night, the DDA was brutally attacked in the assault. The lives of 24 valiant agents and defenders were lost, so he called the ceremony to honor those men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country, and to remind the world of the dangers that the DDA face a daily basis. Jason, who's listening, wonders how could he have let that happen, and he should have been stronger. The president also said the war against demons rages as fiercely now as it ever has before, but no matter how high the stakes might rise, they must never forget that they're human. With that in mind, he wants to take the time to shine a light on the brave soldiers who were taken from them, but instead of mourning their loss, they should celebrate their life. Then he showed a monitor of Agent Bama, father of 2 beautiful girls and a dedicated member of the DDA for 6 years. Then he called the other dead agents and defenders' names, which made Jason angrily promise that he won't let Atlas get away with it. The president said many of them may have probably heard the rumors already that the culprit behind the attack is none other than the DDA's most trustworthy blade, the man who carried the world on his shoulders, the man named Defender Atlas. However, he does not blame Atlas for the disaster, and it seems that the burden placed on him was simply too great, and he has been corrupted by his own Imperium. One of the DBA asks how can they possibly fight against Atlas. The president confidently said they don't have the luxury to worry about who's to blame, whether by fault or by fate. Aliyah Actor ESD, the die has been cast, and no matter who it is they must face, the DDA will persevere together. They are one, and is one they cannot fall. The president's speech made the DDA agents and defenders become energetic. Then, after the meeting, they started to walk out. Jason taps the commander named Hyacinth's shoulder. Hyacinth turns around and asks Jason if there is something wrong. Jason responded that he knows the president is right, but he can't help feeling guilty because Atlas was right in front of him and he wasn't strong enough to stop him. Hyacinth tells him not to be so hard on himself because he did everything he could, and stopping Atlas is a nearly impossible task for a single defender, especially after Sasha betrayed him. Jason clenched his teeth hard in anger and said he don't care how strong Atlas is because he'll make sure he was the one who stops him. Then he asks what is the plan for capturing Atlas because he wants to help. Hyacinth tells him to slow down because patience is a virtue for a reason and the DDA has to be methodical. When dealing with corruption, especially when it's in a person as dangerous as Atlas, the true nature of corruption is still mysterious to them, and all they know is that it's derived from the demon inside of an Imperium, but no two demons are the same, because some are driven by greed and others are fueled by rage or lust. Corruption doesn't happen all at once. It's a gradual process that sends a defender down a dark path, and there's no way to tell where it might lead. That mystery is why defenders are trained to forsake their emotions and focus only on their duties, and that's the only guaranteed way to protect themselves from succumbing to the demon's will, and that's why he can't let him be involved with Atlas and Sasha, which made Jason shocked, then shouted that he can't do that to him and that he have to give him chance to redeem himself. But Hyacinth